Association, Excellence in Sports Reporting, and Best News Series for Outside the Huddle. News General Assignment Reporting for Unity Within Our Community. And the Award of Merit for Bethlehem Baptist Burns Again. Thank you, West Alabama, for trusting us to tell your stories. The views expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent the views of the staff and management of WVUA 23. Bringing you analysis and insight into the Crimson Tide. Your Crimson cover hosts, John Copeland, Mike Parker, and Chase Goodbread. Sponsored by Burnham Hahn and by Crimson Village.
Welcome into Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. I'm Chase Goodbread, sports columnist with the Tuscaloosa News. Joined by John Copeland, former Alabama All-American defensive end. Our third co-host, Mike Parker, couldn't make it tonight. It's been a while. I guess what's been 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks since we've had Mike in here. Hopefully next week. Mike does the best he can. But hopefully we'll see him next week. We got a big show for you, though, here on CCTV. Spring football news. Alabama's first scrimmage upcoming. We'll be talking about that. Justin Aboybe, the veteran defensive end, cleared medically, so there's some news there. Football recruiting update coming for you. Alabama picks up a big commitment. Also, basketball roster turnover in the news. The Alabama basketball team that went to the Sweet 16 is falling apart right now between draft declarations and guys going into the portal, etc. And we'll be talking about that women's NCAA championship game. LSU, Iowa, the finger gesture, all that. We'll touch on that as well. That certainly made the news here in the last few days. First, though, John, we begin talking spring football. Nick Saban has his team ready to go upcoming for the first scrimmage of the spring. It's going to be happening Friday. Of course, the second scrimmage will be next Saturday. That'll be the 15th, and then A-Day will be on the 22nd. But the first one, to me, in some ways is bigger than the second one, but you've done it. You've been through it. Spring practice under Gene Stallings. You can speak to it better than I can. How big is that first scrimmage coming out?
It depends on the player. It depends on the position that you have on the football team. If you are an established guy that's been around and proven himself, it's just another practice. But if you're a guy that's trying to make a move, especially at the quarterback position, especially at some of the offensive line position, if you're one of those guys and you're trying to make a move, then the first one is always the best one for you. Because when you go into A-Day, you're just watching a glorified, these are the guys we're looking at, these are the guys we're going to see, but normally the guys that you want to see has already established themselves.
Can there be, and obviously spring practice to a large extent, John, is getting new guys and young guys ready to play, freshmen, guys who don't have a lot of game experience, moving them forward. I think some coaches can overemphasize the young guys in spring practice. What are your thoughts about that?
It depends. It depends on the guy, Chase. It depends on what the coaches want to see. Looking back, when I first got to Alabama during the spring, and we had spring practice, I was a second string guy, and I stunk up spring practice. I had a sprained ankle, and I was awful during the spring practice. Even during the A-Day game, I was awful, but I made my move once we got into fall camp.
You know, Bobby Bowden, the legendary Florida State coach, John, back around the time when you were a player, same era, he had a policy that if you were a fifth-year senior, you didn't even have to practice in the spring. If you were a fifth-year senior, he'd give you the spring off, get those guys off the field, gives you a little bit better picture of the young guys. And for a fifth-year senior who already knows what's expected in the program, that guy gets a break.
And I get it. As a player, I would love that. As a coach, I would hate that. Because, look, I'm from the school of if you don't use it, you lose it. So I think you also always should be trying to hone your skills.
Yeah. And just as an addendum to that, back in those days, early 90s, I'm talking, when you played, when Bobby Bowden was at Florida State doing this kind of thing.
So far away,
it's been a while, John. It's been a while.
It has not been that long.
It's been a minute. But back then, fifth-year seniors were more common. Now they're kind of rare. You don't see a lot of fifth-year seniors anymore. They just don't hang around as much. The transfer portal and all that. But back then, there were a lot of guys who were fifth-year seniors who could get on the field and play.
And I understand the philosophy. I understand it. And like I said, as a player, especially my senior year, I never understood why me and Eric and some of the other guys had to go through spring practice. As a player, I get it. But as a coach, if I'm coaching the team, everybody's going to practice.
All right, really quickly, we're going to run down some key positions to watch for battle-wise in terms of the first scrimmage. Quarterback, obviously, Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson. That's a competition everybody's got an eye on, John. Offensive line, who's going to be at right tackle? We're thinking, as we've talked about before, J.C. Latham probably going to get a chance to move to the left side. That opens up the right side for a young guy. Elijah Pritchett, definitely somebody who's in the mix there. Maybe one of the freshmen coming in. Inside linebacker. Hard to say what's going to happen there. A lot of new faces at that spot. And the safety position, John. Young guys all over the place at safety looking to replace Jordan Battle and DeMarco Helms, who seemed like they'd been at Alabama forever.
You know, Chase, everybody's talking about this quarterback battle, and I understand why. But listen, in my opinion, the most important thing that you can come out of this spring practice with is a solid, cohesive offensive line. Because when you have a guy that you don't know who's going to be behind the center, the best thing for that guy is 5 guys up front that can help that guy win ball games. Make his game decision a lot easier.
All right, a quick note on the roster. Justin Aboybe, the veteran defensive end, tweets that he has been cleared medically. He was put out for the season last year with a neck injury. His status was pretty uncertain. Nick Saban said at the beginning of spring that they were holding him back. So I don't think we're going to see him jumping into any scrimmages or anything. They're still, I'm sure, going to take it easy with him. Might not see him till the fall, but medically, based on his social media account, Justin Aboybe is good to go. It's good news for Alabama. He's been around. He can play.
That's good news for him and his family also.
All right, really quickly, some recruiting news for you. The Crimson Tide picks up a commitment from a 4-star offensive lineman, Mason Short, 6'7", not short at all, 280 pounds. He's from Evans, Georgia. John had offers from Georgia, Florida, Florida State, and a young guy. This is a commitment for the 2025 class, which means this guy's just coming off his sophomore year in high school. He'll be a junior this fall, senior in 24, comes to Alabama in 25. An early offer here, John.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like freshman, sophomore. I don't like the pressure being put on those kids. Look, the guy's a sophomore in high school. This kid ain't even probably never went on a date yet. And you're trying to make him decide where he want to go play college football. Look, I don't like. It's big business. It's business, and they're not taking into consideration that these are kids. These are kids. I don't like it.
Hey, you're showing your age again.
I don't like it.
You're showing your age again. This has been the way of the world for 15 years, John. These kids go to these camps in the summer. All to Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, the biggest schools in the country. They show out in these summer camps. It doesn't matter if they're 14 or 15 or 16. If they show out and they look good at these camps, they get offers.
You know what? They get offers. You say it's the way of the world.
Yeah.
And am I the only one that think the way of the world is leading up down a bad path?
I didn't say it wasn't.
No.
I didn't disagree with that.
The way of the world is not always good.
I know, but you're acting surprised that this guy got an offer.
I'm not acting surprised. I'm just saying I don't like it. There's no way a sophomore should be trying to determine now where he's going to school. I don't like it.
You kind of poke the stick at me sometime to get me going. I'm just doing the same thing to you.
You poke the right stick.
We got a lot more to come here on Crimson Cover. Alabama basketball up next. Plenty more. Stick around. You're watching CCTV on WVUA 23.
Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its 3rd generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control services.
The children are rising up. Join the revolt with Tuscaloosa Children's Theater Junior adaptation of the Tony Award-winning hit Matilda Jr., April 28th through the 30th. For tickets and more information, visit TuscaloosaChildren'sTheater.net. Join us in promoting autism acceptance at the Tuscaloosa Autism Walk, April 16th from 1 to 4 at Sokol Park. Bring the whole family for an exciting event-filled day, including bounce houses, face painting, a live DJ, and more. Register by April 1st and receive a t-shirt to wear on the event day. All the proceeds go to the Autism Society of Alabama. Visit walkforautismal.com for more information.
When you want to follow Crimson Tide sports, there's only one show that takes you behind the scenes. The award-winning Tider Insider TV. Join Rodney Orr and Gary Harris every Tuesday night at 6:30 for the latest on all things Crimson. Rodney and Gary provide in-depth analysis, interviews with coaches and players, and much more. Tider Insider TV, Tuesday nights at 6:30. Brought to you by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. To learn more, please go to parkinson.org or call 1-800-4PD-INFO.
Welcome back to Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. This segment brought to you by Burnham Hahn Exterminators and that quality local service in Tuscaloosa for 75 plus years. Burnham Hahn has complete pest and termite services for residential or commercial needs, mosquito control, fire ant treatments. They do it all, and of course they're licensed operators of that Centricon termite colony elimination system. If you're a homeowner, especially when the weather gets hotter, you've got to have that service. It's a year-round service you need, so call Clay Hahn and his staff. They'll get you started with a monthly or quarterly pest control program. You can reach them at 553-4433 or visit burnhamhahn.com.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to leave the subject. Look, I think the NCAA should ban any college sport reaching out to kids that are not in the 11th grade or higher.
That's a strong take. That's a strong take.
Man, a sophomore, you get Nick Saban in a sophomore high school with the sophomore. From that point forward, that kid is ruined. Not only does he have people coming after him, but now his ego is through the roof. The hard work is not going to be what it should have been. He's ruined. He's not a kid anymore. Now he's a entity. He's a business.
I ain't gonna agree or disagree. All I said last segment was that's just how it is.
I agree. I'm leaving it at that.
All right, Alabama basketball news now. Jaden Bradley, the outstanding point guard who was a freshman this past season, he enters the transfer portal. Not the only one for sure. Here you see some highlights during the season of Jaden Bradley, a former five-star recruit.
Why? I mean, he was going to be the man.
All I can tell you is it goes right back to just the way things are now. Guys move on all the time. Doesn't matter.
I bet you he was recruited as a sophomore.
Probably so.
I bet you.
Especially basketball. Honestly, if we're going to stick on that topic for half a minute, when it comes to recruiting super young kids, I think basketball is worse than football. I think basketball, by and large, is going after more, 13 and 14-year-olds even than football is. Those guys get identified super quick.
And look what happened. The kid probably come back to Alabama, going to be a superstar, still going to get a shot to go to the NBA. But now things ain't quite right, so he's going to go somewhere else.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to consider there for sure.
It's that kind of thing in every aspect of our society is killing it.
Roster turnover, we'll turn to that. NBA draft entries for Nate Oates' basketball squad. Of course, we already knew Brandon Miller has entered. He's not coming back. He'll be a top 5, top 10 pick for sure. Noah Clowney announced he's going to be entering the draft.
I get it.
Talk is he's going to go first round now. He was on the borderline at one point. I think he's looked at even more highly than that now. Another freshman. That's 2 one-and-dones right there, John.
I get it.
Javon Quinterly has announced that he's entering draft eligibility, although he may decide to come back. You can do that in basketball with the NCAA rules as they are. Charles Bediako did the same thing. Hired an agent, said, I'm going to test the draft waters. If Bediako doesn't like what he hears from the scouts, et cetera, on where he might get picked or picked at all, he can come back. So I
think Bediako, he's a 50-50 guy. He may get a shot in the NBA, or he might come back. I mean, from a skill standpoint, a defensively standpoint, he may end up making a good NBA player.
My opinion, I think he's ready for the pros right now on the defensive end of the floor.
I agree.
Defensive end. Offensive end, he's not, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean he can't make a lot of money somewhere if he decides. And it might not even be the NBA,
The NBA, they have to have defensive players, too. You think everything in the NBA is offense? Not necessarily.
Well, to me, between the two of them, Javon Quinterly and Charles Bediako, my opinion is Bediako is more likely of the two to come back. I think Quinterly's probably going to move on. We'll see. Yeah. No telling, I guess, with him. Bediako, I see coming back. One reason is, John, and we've talked about this before, Nate Oates is a pick-and-roll guy only in terms of getting centers the ball in the offense. They don't feed him in the post. They don't have a back-to-the-basket offensive game in this offense. The bigs don't. But you got to have that in the NBA,
no,
right?
You don't.
Okay.
No, you don't.
All right. You don't think so?
We had the same conversation with Herb Jones. No, you don't.
Herb Jones isn't a 5. I'm talking about a 5. I'm talking about a center.
If you can defend. If you can defend the basket, if you can go out and defend the perimeter, and he's long, he's lanky, and he's athletic, if you can defend in the NBA, then you're going to get a shot. Joel Embiid played with his back to the basket. There are not many guys that play with their backs to the basket. Those guys that can't, and you're 6'11", 6'10", 6'11", then you better be able to play defense.
And Bediako can do that. There's no doubt about. But I don't see any comparison between Bediako and Herb Jones. You're talking about a 5 and a do-it-all.
Both defenders. Both will make it to the NBA because they are defenders.
All right, really quickly before we turn to the next commercial break, the NCAA tournament final, of course, went down. UConn knocked off San Diego State 76-59. UConn had 2 players turn in double-doubles, Tristan Newton and Adama Sanogo. Both of them Newton had 19 and 10 rebounds. Sanogo had 17 and 10 rebounds. John, this UConn team just would not be denied. They dominated a lot of teams.
Flat out shoot it. Look, San Diego State defensively, one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country. But even contested, UConn was dropping the bomb. Inside, outside, dribble drive. UConn can flat out score, and that's why they won the game.
Interesting, John, about this NCAA final. Both of those teams, Alabama only lost 6 games all year. They went 31-6. 2 of their 6 losses were to these 2 teams in the finals. San Diego State, of course, beat Alabama in the tournament. UConn beat Alabama back in November, and they only lost 6 games all year.
UConn had 1 freshman starting. San Diego State had 0 freshmen starting. That's why Alabama can beat either team.
All right, we got one more segment to go here on Crimson Cover. Lots more to come. We'll be talking about that NCAA Women's Tournament Final and plenty more. Stick around. You're watching Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23.
for you and
me. It's good to know that in this impersonal world, there's still a local home-owned drugstore that can take full care of you and your family. The good folks at Northport Pharmacy. Owner and pharmacist Rob Colburn will personally see that all of your prescriptions are quickly and accurately filled and your questions answered. And be sure to check out their gift gallery for the finest in gift selections featuring Alabama merchandise, photo frames, children's clothing, beachwear, jewelry, and more. Remember, when you have pharmaceutical needs, see the man who will take the time to get to know you. Rob Colburn at Northport Pharmacy, located next to CC's Pizza, Highway 82 in Northport. Burnham Hahn Exterminators offers termite and pest control solutions for residential and commercial customers in the West Alabama area. Family owned and operated, now in its third generation, we stay up to date with the latest advancements in the pest control industry to protect your family and home from pests. We're an authorized operator of the Centricon baiting system. Burnham Hahn Exterminators, here when you need us. Call us today for your complete termite and pest control services. Alabama weather changes fast. That's why you can trust Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott and the WVUA 23 Fast Track Weather Team.
Severe thunderstorms coming into West Alabama
to connect you to the most accurate forecasts.
We do have severe storms moving in.
And up-to-the-minute severe weather coverage.
You need to be in a safe place now.
Tracking the storms that threaten your family.
Seeing life-threatening wind conditions as this severe thunderstorm.
Get connected with the WVUA 23 Fast Track Weather Team.
For many kids, teachers can have an impact that lasts a lifetime. Here at WVUA 23, we want to recognize teachers in our community that are making a lasting impact on our children. Nominate your children's favorite teacher for our Featured Teacher Award. Go to WVUA23.com and click on the Featured Teacher graphic. Fill out the form and nominate your kid's favorite teacher for a chance to win.
We want to hear your good news stories and be a bright spot. Share your stories with us. Visit us online and click on Bright Spots or message us on social media.
Welcome back to Crimson Cover Television on WVUA 23. This segment brought to you by Crimson Village, the most active and fun-loving aging adult community in all of Tuscaloosa. Residents there enjoy the finest in dining, activity, and lifestyle experience with super amenities and a great location right off of Veterans Memorial Parkway. Crimson Village offers 3 levels of care for its seniors, including the Tide Memory Care Program, and they take the highest of precautions when it comes to COVID-19. You need to call Tim Eaves. He's the transition specialist, 632-6699 if you have a loved one in need of assisted care, or visit crimsonvillage.com. And remember, Crimson Village owns fun. All right, John, we're going to have some fun here in the final segment. Turning to the NCAA Women's NCAA Tournament. Huge TV numbers for the women. They had, I believe, 9.9 million
the Final Four,
in viewership.
The women's Final Four was much better than the men. It was great basketball.
No question about it. LSU knocks off Iowa 102-85 in the final. The hot news out of this, or the controversy, if you want to call it that, John, Angel Reese, the outstanding player from LSU. Here you see the John Cena move, and the ring's coming on my finger, not yours. Got a lot of criticism for that. I don't understand it, really. I mean, people said, I'm going to start with my take. You come with yours.
All right.
People got after her, said that was classless, that et cetera. That was. I'm like, wait a minute. That happens everywhere, right? I mean, we see that in football when guys cross the goal line, looking back at the DB they just beat. We see it.
And when Alabama was doing the Karate Kid thing, Georgia did the karate. Whoever did the Karate Kid thing.
Right. I mean, in baseball, you hit the home run now, you flip the bat toward the dugout. I mean, that's just how it is. I don't quite get it. Caitlin Clark, the Iowa player who's a fan, who's so talented, super player. She's done that before, so that's kind of where that came from. Angel Reese of LSU just kind of gave her what she'd given other teams, I guess, and people made a big deal of it. It was a small deal to me, but worth a mention. And then a day or two later, the First Lady Jill Biden says, hey, might be nice to invite Iowa, the runners-up, to the White House also. And Angel Reese called that a joke on social media. I got to echo that too, John. It's always been winners only going to the White House, regardless of the sport. That was a head scratcher for me too. And just so we're clear, I think the White House or some rep for Jill Biden walked that back.
No, you don't get to walk that back. No, listen, the best thing that ever happened to race relations is Jill Biden saying, oh, we should also invite Iowa to the White House. Best thing could have ever happened, because if she doesn't say that, that means everybody think race relation is not a thing. It means everybody's fair. When Dr. Jill Biden says we should invite the white Iowa team, also because they lost to the black LSU team, they should come also. Look, I don't care. My best friend is a white guy. Chase Goodbread is my best friend. Look, everybody in this country is not racist, but we have to agree that there are some people in high places that are. And we can no longer deny that.
All right.
We can no longer deny it.
The last thing on Angel Reese, between the gesture with the finger at the end of the championship game and this thing with Jill Biden, apparently she's picked up about 500,000 new followers on social media. I saw a press release the other day, John, that this spike in social media presence for Angel Reese, at this point, she's worth $3,000. She can get paid $3,000 per Instagram post now through NIL, et cetera. That's remarkable.
Look, man,
for sure.
Man, we're all different. Different black and white people, white and white people, everybody's different. It doesn't matter what color you are. I got black friends that we're totally different. Doesn't matter, man. We're all human beings, man. We're all trying to make a life out of this thing that we're living. Let's just do what we do, man. It's no hate. Let's just get along and do what we do.
Crimson Cover mailbag. If you got a question for us in the mailbag, just go to crimsoncover.com. Click the mailbag icon. We'll answer your question via email if we can. Frank from Dothan this week wants to know who might step up at the wide receiver position in spring practice. Malik Benson, the outstanding wide receiver who came in as a junior college transfer. John, he's one I think to keep an eye on for sure. He was running routes for Bryce Young in the indoor facility on Pro Day, looking pretty good. I talked to a scout who thought he looked pretty sharp with some of those routes. So he's one to watch. I think Isaiah Bond is a guy to watch for too. I liked what I saw from him in limited action as a freshman. I'm taking up the whole answer, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
Because I don't know nothing about no wide receiver.
That's going to wrap it up. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Crimson Cover. For John Copeland, I'm Chase Goodbread, sports columnist with the Tuscaloosa News. And we'll talk to you next time right here on Crimson Cover.
It's good to know that in this impersonal world, there's still a local home-owned drugstore that can take full care of you and your family. The good folks at Northport Pharmacy. Owner and pharmacist Rob Colburn will personally see that all of your prescriptions are quickly and accurately filled and your questions answered. And be sure to check out their gift gallery for the finest in gift selections featuring Alabama merchandise, photo frames, children's clothing, beachwear, jewelry, and more. Remember, when you have pharmaceutical needs, see the man who will take the time to get to know you. Rob Colburn at Northport Pharmacy, located next to CC's Pizza, Highway 82 in Northport. To Baseball Country, a ministry in West Alabama that reaches far outside the diamond. We create opportunities for people of all ages and backgrounds to encounter Jesus. From baseball and softball training for high school to the big leagues, to men's and women's team sports camps, men's and women's ministry, youth mentored hunts, service projects, custom retreats, and so much more. If you want to get in the game, email Sam at baseballcountry.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
The average cost of hearing aids is nearly $5,000, but now you can buy a full pair of rechargeable, wireless, nearly invisible, easy to use, and comfortable hearing devices for only $99. But only from